Welcome to the Real Life Buyer podcast. In this podcast, you will hear interviews with business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, authors, and technical specialists in their field. These professionals will hasten your development, accelerate your career, and broaden your business know-how. Now, introducing your host, Dave Barr, interviewing with a purchasing twist.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Life Buyer. My next guest is Swire Ho, host of a great podcast called The Small Business Show and the Director of Sales and Marketing at Garuda Promo and Branding Solutions in LA. Swire was born and raised in Hong Kong, but immigrated to Los Angeles in 1996. Swire is a trained sound engineer and has worked at numerous recording studios and entertainment agencies before starting his own company called Hellman Production Incorporated. Here, he and his team produce personalized DVD and CD cases and custom merchandise. And his business grew to such an extent that Swire sold it back in 2013 with a desire to focus on the promotional products industry. Swire is also a prolific business networker. So today, I welcome Swire onto the podcast to unpack his entrepreneurial journey and discuss the art of business networking. So without further ado, I welcome Swire onto the podcast. Hi, Swire.
Hey, Dave. Thank you for the warm introduction.
Absolutely no problem. Thank you for spending some time with us today. So let's start from the beginning for audience to get warmed up to you and familiar with who you are and what you do. Do you mind sharing with us an overview of your business journey that resulted in your current business, Garuda Promo and Branding?
Thank you. I was trained to be a sound engineer, and actually, I started the first business, Hellman Production, on the day of my honeymoon because I found out that the company that I worked for at the time went on a business. So I'm newlywed, spending a good time with my new wife, and I have no job. So that's really funny when I say that. It was kind of a nervous time back then. So I have some relationship with people in the recording industry, some record labels. So I think CD and DVD, it makes sense because, I speak their language. And then that's something, if you're old enough like me to remember that CD and DVDs are really popular item back then. So I work with a lot of record label, film company. Along the way, they actually asked me when musicians go on tours, they ask, do you do branded T-shirts that we can sell on tour? Or when we go to red carpet, can you do give back, for our guests? So that's somehow got me into the promotional product industry. Hindsight is 2020. Looking back then, it was a great time to sell the business in 2013. That's kind of the year that Netflix is jumping on, our internet is getting faster. And if we start a CD DVD business right now, there's going to be not a lot of market because we don't buy those anymore. So I think making that transition is nice. People always want to put their logo on an item. The item might change, but then we're always proud of our company and wanted to put our logo and to market ourselves. So that's a short version of the journey.
Okay. So clearly you have a very understanding wife. No doubt about that.
We're business partner right now. We're still married after almost 20 years now. So I think, we've been through a lot of things.
That's fantastic. And clearly it's shown the strength of your relationship there. So congratulations on that. So there's something about promotional products that really fires you up, I guess. So what are the kind of things that hooked you into this business area or genre?
I think it is, you can be as creative as you like. People think about promotional product as a commodity, right? They use a word in America called swag, which actually stands for stuff we all get. My approach, and is similar to the CD DVD business, is I refuse to accept that this is a commodity because a CD, you could do it in factory A and factory B. They're all the same. But then how can I make it so that it becomes a premium? People pay more for premium. People pay more pricing for a more luxury product. So that's always been my angle in approaching a business. So in promotional product, there's a lot of add-on services. There are maybe logistics challenges, maybe design challenges that my client will have. And then if I'm able to solve that problem, they will actually willing to pay me my full price and sometimes extra just to take away those pain from them. So that's kind of my approach in the promotional product business.
Okay, so you like being a creative, really. That's something that really gets you fired up. That's good. Now, I know from promotional products that when business is tough, and it's getting a bit tough at the moment, that this is an area that some businesses tend to cut back on. The promotional products can be something volatile and perhaps is also subject to seasonality, would you say, particularly around, let's say, Christmas and certain events. Is that something that you find a particular challenge, or are you able to smooth out those kind of peaks and troughs to make your business stable?
Well, to get this on record, and it's kind of funny hearing from me, you don't have to buy a promotional product. There are other things that if it works for your business, stick with those. You don't have to get logo pants if you have a logo. But what I would like to ask everyone to consider, especially we're talking about business development, is what are your relationship with your current client? My question for prospect or people that call me every day, what's a promotional product that I should buy? I ask them, how's your relationship with your current client? Do you spend money on Google ads, on other things that you do to get customer through the door? But after they became customer, what have you done for them? So a lot of time it's silent. There's pause. What do you mean? Like they pay already, they purchased already. What do you want me to do? What if I ask them that you could keep all your current client, and some of them might not really order from you because of the type of business that you're in. But what if they could give you repeat business? And what if you do it right, then they'll actually give you referrals. They'll actually tell everyone about you. And by using the right promotional product, you could create a conversation to make sure that you remind them, you stay top of mind. So then whenever they think about your particular industry, you'll be the name that will come up. So I think these are some of the thinking process. And then ultimately they wanted to answer, what item should I buy? So if you are able to tell me those answers, then the perfect item will actually be available once you answer these questions.
That's a really interesting point you've got there. And the key thing is here, I guess, is you're not looking for a one-shot promotional purchase. You're looking for a long-term relationships where you can keep adding value and the customer sees you as an added benefit, just not a free giveaway for somebody.
Mm-hmm. Because we all have a budget, right? Obviously, be frank, right? We all have a budget. You don't have to give a promotional product if you choose to everybody. What if you identify, let's say, your top 10 client, and this top 10 client will give you 80% of your business? Don't you wish that you have a better relationship with them, and their birthday, know what kind of sports that they have, know when their birthdays are, and then you send them a gift just to be top of mind, show that you care. So then you will be the only partner that they trust whenever they need your services. You're the only number that they call. So promotional product is not all to build relationship, but it definitely helps you to create more conversations.
Brilliant. Yeah, I like that. Now, I've had to buy or I've needed to buy promotional products in the past, and I appreciate there is a massive variety of different products out there. I've seen catalogs that something like Encyclopedia Britannica have sometimes. It's quite overwhelming. Now, you go beyond just getting a specification, I guess, a basic outline from the customer, and you really drill into understanding the customer and to help them in their evaluations. So I'm trying to kind of interested in how you go about that. How do you get under the skin of the customer? How do you determine what the customer is best supplying to their customers and develop the specifications that you need to go and do your job?
That's a great question. And I think if we all think about that question before you order, then it kind of solves 80, 90% of the problem. Sometimes people like a certain product themselves. Maybe they like football. They want to buy a football item, but their target audience do not watch football at all. So there's a disconnect because whatever that you like to buy might not be what people want to receive. But by going back to, I gave you some of the question of how you could actually find yourself the perfect product. Who are your target audience? What do you have a gender specific, or what kind of job titles that they have? Are they a blue collar worker that work at the shop today, or do they sit behind AC room behind the desk all day? So if you can answer those questions, and the more details you could provide to me, the more that I could drill down, like you said, we have access to 10,000 different products. You don't need to look at all 10,000. You want to be able to give me the details, and I will filter it down to maybe a few that you choose. So wouldn't that be easier? A lot of time people wanted to search for promotional product. They spend weeks, sometimes months. I'm not kidding. People spend months and they research for 50 companies. And then at the end, they buy something really simple, which you could have been done if you mark all your criteria and to present it to a knowledge professional, then he or she are able to help you filter it down. Then your goal is to market and grow your business. Your goal, sometimes people lose focus and they want to try to be in my business and do all the work that I do. And that's why I'm here to help. And, you have to come up with the criteria. And I would strongly suggest that listeners who are listening to the show, answer the question, who are your target audience for your business?
Something's just dropped into my mind now. How often do you see your customers getting feedback, purposely getting feedback now, so not just randomly, going out to the people they have given promotional products to assess the success and perhaps their understanding of the impact that had on them? And how important would you say that is?
That's a great question. I wish more people would do such a thing, because don't you want to know the ROI of your investment? For other things, we like to see all the data from our Google ads. We want to see how much engagement we have on Facebook. But once we give away the promotional product or a gift, that's it. That's about it. One thing I would suggest is, like you said, if I give you something, Dave, that really connects with you, we all have a cell phone with us every day. We become journalists and reporters. So if I give you something that really fits you well, chances are you take a picture of that product and you share it to your friends, your families, and everyone that you know. So in that way, you can actually see if you're doing something right that connects with the target audience. You see that on the social media, you see responses. And I would, agree with you that if you're sending like a target holiday gift to a client, do check in. And you could actually, if you're smart, to do it purposefully. For example, if your book of your business is around the holiday season, right? In December, in November, send a gift around October, right? Because no one is sending holiday gifts then. If you're the first gift that people receive, then they remember. If I'm receiving like 10, 20 gifts in December, then I get numb. I don't remember who sent it to me. Once you send the gift, what if you could follow up within a week to make sure that they are happy, to make sure that, chat about what they've been up to, and you're smart. You should promote if you're special, if you have certain things going on in December, then you should talk about that. So you're actually sending gifts with a purpose.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because it gives you a reason to contact the customer. Say, hey, we sent you a little gift as a thank you, blah, blah, blah. We're really keen to understand it. Hey, make sure you received it and you're happy with it. Is there anything we could do to make something like that better in the future? That feedback, you say the ROI must be tremendous value, and they can feed that back to you and say, hey, did this hit the mark? What were the perhaps minor issues with it? How can we improve this going forwards? I think that's got tremendous value that I personally haven't really seen happen in any of the sort of many years that I've been in this business.
That's a very good point. I wish, there are some data that really suggest if you make that call, this is what happened. If you do nothing, this is what happened. But I think that's why I'm saying promotional product is not all that you need to do. You got to have a process, because if you just randomly send out promotional product, you might get lucky, you might get some business. But if you have a process down, you're sending gift to targeted lists and you do your follow-ups, then the conversation and then the engagement that you can receive can definitely be more than you do nothing.
Yes, exactly. I went to a show not very long ago, actually. And as you say, there's kind of swag bags. You've got a nice little bag and inside there's some gift. You don't know what's in there, but just for attending and blah, blah, blah. And I got one of these bags and I looked inside and I had a look at it. And to be honest, I couldn't see absolutely any point in the product that they were giving to me. Okay, it was poor quality, low value. It actually gave me nothing. The best place for it to be, I hate to say, was in recycling. And that was, for me, was quite sad, because it had a negative impact on my impression of that company. Because if they want to give me something that is going to give me nothing in return, no benefit in any way, shape, or form, and I could see that was actually going to go to recycling or worse, the tip, then that is a terrible waste of the world's resources. And that's why I think it's so important that people like yourselves support these companies in making good decisions going forwards. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you bring up a lot of great point. Again, going back, I'm going to repeat that again. You don't need promotional product if it doesn't make sense to your campaign. But if like you said, Dave, you have to keep the brand value. If you stand for high class, right? VIP experience, then your whole experience, your website, your event, your promotional product needs to stand by that. If you are trustworthy, there's something else. If you are sustainable, there's something else. You won't say you're sustainable if you giving out a product that has 6 wrap of plastic and then all kinds of things that you have to throw into the trash, right? So it has to be in line with your brand. It doesn't have to be expensive. It has to be on point with your brand. It could be a very simple product, but you could design it in a certain way that can make people feel connected with your message. That brings up to your point. What does your company stand for? What is your value? You can use a certain product to emphasize those points. With your point, if the trade show that the gift bag that you are relate to that message, not some random gift that the must have in promotional product. So I think that might work better is in a branding standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. For me, if the gift that I ever received, I want to keep hold of it. I want to reuse it time and time again. And I'm going to see that every day, be that a pen or even a paper clip or something that's unique. I think that's got so much value and it's reuse. And I will purposely look at that and make sure it doesn't get thrown away or given to anybody else. And so I'm constantly reminded of the logo, the company, the thought that went into giving me that gift, as you say, could only be worth, small pennies and dimes, but actually it's got great value to me. So I think some really good information in that discussion there. Now, let's move on. Now, you've obviously now spent a lot of time getting to know your customers. You've worked with them in determining the specifications and materials are needed, et cetera, et cetera. But now you've got to go out and source and develop that product yourself. So perhaps you could take us through the kind of process that you go through to identify the right kind of companies to deal with, how you pass on that knowledge to those suppliers and make sure they deliver on time and to budget.
Where do I begin? I think the supply and demand is always a fine line to walk through. Obviously there are high demand on our customer side, for example, around the holidays. Then on the supply side, they're slow, right? They couldn't really keep up with the demand. And then the other challenge is always going to be the market want a certain product that they have seen maybe on the fashion industry, right? They want a certain style now, but the promotional product industry sometimes do not catch up until maybe 2-3 years later. We don't have the latest trend, for example, quote unquote. And, there are things that might not be available in the promotional product projects and, customer wanted to do. So how do you balance that? And sometimes that's why it's fun. I love when customer tell me that we want something custom that is not available in the market. Then I know that going back to our original discussion, I hit on the point. This is not a commodity. This is now a premium item. And you have to find the right match. When people want a custom item, not all of them have the budget or really want to go through the process for getting that custom item. So as a sales professional, I need to qualify them, to ask them the right question to make sure that this is actually what they wanted to develop. If it is, then the fun process began. I will find the right supplier, use the resources that I have, and to provide the solution. So I like this because a lot of times I will be the only supplier they're talking to right now. Instead of talking to 50 other guys that do what I do out there, I'm using that as my advantage to make it focus, and I'm the only one that they talk to. So I think it's good and bad. It's challenging, but I like and love to, take on that challenge.
Yeah. What kind of factors impact where you place your orders, whether you keep it local, let's say within the US, or you go further afield, such as Asia? What kind of things make you decide one or the other?
I think quantity sometimes dictates that. In the US, we actually have a lot of good suppliers. And depending on where you located geographically, there are always people who like to buy local. I'm not saying overseas are better than domestically in the US. I do have a client that only requests, for example, going back to the custom thing, they will only want to buy a LA made product that is made by a minority owned business that use organic. They want organic candles. I've defined it in LA, made by a small minority business. I was able to find that, and I was the only one able to find that. So staying local, staying in LA, I'm the only option. However, when we talk about, let's say we want to do a lanyard for trade show, we want to do 100,000, right? So then we have to balance, and we look at the resource that we have. Who do we have that has the capability, has the capacity to be able to fulfill the order for our client? So look at different things. I like to joke to say that I'm the modern days Marco Polos. Marco Polo go to the Far East and find something that people have not seen in Europe. And it was, if we looked at it as ordinary item, but if you have not seen that item in your area, and if I have it, then I become special. So it's my job, to keep an eye on everywhere, different country, different industry. What is going on in that industry? What is the trending item? So maybe, give you a crazy example, really. In LA, there's a lot of tech company. And if you're a tech company, a lot of them would actually want to pay a lot of money to dress like auto mechanics, to dress like people in the, blue collar worker. And then what better to do is I actually have experience, doing the uniform for an auto mechanic. I actually offer them the same uniform, but just to replace the logo. So matching the wants to something that already happening in that industry, but sometimes to create a good match to people might not have enough resource or research on a particular industry or area.
That's really interesting. I'm interested in another one little point. For you, what does profit, do you say the impacts of profit, whether it's a high profit or a low profit product for you, how does it change your behavior, your way of thinking? So if you're going to get a really good margin, how does it differ when you find out that the buyers really screwed you down to the last penny?
Well, that's why I try to stay away from commodity, because if I am selling a commodity product, for example, a pen, 50 people, sometimes 100 people can order the same product. So now you're only competing on price. That's not a fun game to be in. And certainly there are industries that you have to deal with that every day. And, that's not fun to do. What if, I tell you a couple of examples. What if you are the only resource for them and people really trust you and depend on you to find that solution? And they have, especially if there are certain pain point and certain things that they are struggling with, and you go in and you can provide value and they see you at a value consultants, then you go past the commodity standpoint. Now they're premium. They're hiring you actually as a consultant to take away the pain. Imagine they're bigger company or company that are out there. They don't only want to buy promotional product. They want to buy promotional product because, I think I developed 3 different categories that why people buy promotional product is either they want to grow sales, and in this time of day, 2022 is perfect. They want to retain their employees, and then at the end they wanted to maintain the relationship with the current client. So these are 3 main categories. People are buying promotional product for. You might go into subcategory, but if you identify which areas they're on, then the conversation would be more meaningful. Than if you just an order taker, I want to buy 500 pens. How much is it? And then you quote a price, then you become a commodity driven type of business.
Yeah, I love those things. You're so innovative in how you approach the problems. You're so interested in the customer and what they're trying to achieve. You go well beyond a superficial level. And that's the key to building a relationship. And that leads really nicely onto the importance of relationships, and therefore, in some ways, the importance of networking. So if we can flip over to the next area of topic now, networking for many can be regarded as a, almost in quotes, necessary evil. A lot of people don't feel comfortable with networking. Now, I understand you've amassed a substantial history and experience of networking within a number of chambers of commerce, and you've been an ambassador in this respect. So what do you see as the key benefits of chambers of commerce, these types of organizations, and the best ways of engaging their membership contacts?
Thank you for mentioning that. And to be honest, I don't good at small talk, really. But then I know that networking needs to be done, especially I run a small business. I need to be out there to talk to different people. So it was a learning process. It wasn't easy for me. If you see me, 5-10 years ago at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, I'm one of those that hiding around the bar area, the buffet area, pretending I'm eating, just not to talk to anyone. But then it's just something that can be learned. That's something that you could work on. And I was lucky enough that, there are a couple of seasoned members that took me onto the wing. So I kind of shadow them, be in the group that they talk to. So I think if you know that networking is important for your business, try something small. Don't go to a meeting with 100 people. Maybe go to a smaller, intimate meeting with 5-10 people. And with the technology right now, actually go on a virtual networking meeting. So you're in the comfort of your office or your home. There's no one really around you. And, if you make a mistake, so what? It's a virtual meeting. So I think now is actually a good time to do a lot of networking. You could do it virtually. Dave, you and I are in a different country and we're able to connect, right, with this podcast. So networking is actually, broadened my horizons of learning something new, learning something different. So I think no matter what industry that you're in, networking is very important.
Right, that's great. And what appears to be is that you almost need to create a clear strategy for yourself. What questions should you ask? The type of, you say, events that are going on. Where do you feel comfortable? Did you go on digitally? Did you go in physically? And how do you prepare yourself for those kind of meetings? Is there any particular things that you'd say that have really helped you in preparation before a meeting, a networking event?
Thank you for that question. That's great. It's all about quality and not quantity when you go to Chamber of Commerce meeting or if you do a virtual meeting. A lot of people go there, they have a big stack of cards. My goal is to give out all my cards and receive tons of cards. And then that's it. But when I ask them a follow-up question, so what did you do about those cards? Did you follow up? What kind of conversation have you had? They couldn't recall any conversation. I have a good time. I have drinks with several people and great time. Yeah. But does it really help your business? When you go to a certain type of meeting, either it could be Chamber of Commerce, it could be your industry-related networking meeting, or your client invites you to a party, right? So that's a networking meeting as well. Your goal is not to make a lot of contact that are not meaningful. Your goal is to go there to meet people that you can, I would suggest people to have 3 piles of contacts, and then you have to sort them out differently. First is your hot leads. These are people who need your product, ready to buy right now. They are, ready to order. Secondly, there are people might not need to buy your product or they will never use your product, but these are the people who might know your client. So they could introduce the client that you want to be doing business with. So your second pile. The third is, that they're not in your industry, but then they're connected people. And these are people you can keep a relationship with, ultimately can refer you and put up a good word in the organization that you're in. So then you go there with a purpose. A lot of times, if I'm a promotional product business, if you and I met at a trade show and Dave, you're not in the market of promotional product business, a lot of times sales professionals just ignore you. Dave is not buying promo item. Yeah, whatever. What if Dave has a friend who is the marketing director of a big corporation? I won't know that until I develop a relationship with Dave. And later on, obviously, Dave has to trust me enough and know my ability. And obviously, he has his own criteria before he will open the door to his contacts. Imagine a lot of us sales professionals on LinkedIn have 500, 1,000, sometimes 2,000 contacts that we have. I would strongly suggest everyone as a follow-up exercise, next time when you go to a networking meeting, when you get your card, connect with them on LinkedIn if you are a business professional. If you are, things that if you're a health provider, or if you are a restaurant, right? Connect them on Instagram or other social media platform. Really pay attention to what the person or the company have going on. Watch them for a week or two, see what they post, see what kind of things passionate about them. And then in 2 weeks, reach out to them, make a comment or suggestion. I like what you post on Friday about, what you have do for your company. And then within a month, if you really think that, this is a conversation that you want to take it further, then you really propose a time to meet and then encourage back to the conversation that you have had at the initial meeting. Then people will feel more related than if you just send them spam. I don't know if you get that on LinkedIn, Dave. I would connect with someone and then they already spam me with their message. And that's something that I would just delete. But if a person took the time to know and actually watch some of the things that I've talked about on LinkedIn, then I'm more willing to connect and begin the conversation just because I know that person took interest in me.
Right. Some really good information you've got there. That's fantastic. I love the fact that you're going into networking with purpose. And I guess for you, knowing who's going to be attending these events is kind of like gold dust. I guess, would you analyze who the companies are, the people that's going to be there? As you say, separating out the different types of people into different piles and say, right, these are the people I've got to behave and follow up in this way. These are the people I do this, and so on and so forth. So you actually go in there, as you say, with purpose and a clear strategy in mind. Is that correct?
Yeah, I love that. I love the question. Is actually what I do. I belong to the LA area Chamber of Commerce. So it's LA is a big city. So LA Chamber is one of the biggest regional Chamber of Commerce. They have a lot of meetings. I will lose my full-time job if I attend all the meetings. So I actually pick and choose the meetings that I go to. They have a regular networking event where a lot of small business owners, just basically any members that will attend. I like to do that because there's a lot of people there. And at the same time, I ask myself, who are my target audience? I like to go after bigger companies. So obviously for me, the bigger the account, the better. Where will those people hang out? They are in the Chamber of Commerce, but they normally, the VP level or the CEO actually don't go to the general networking event. The Chamber has an event called Pancakes and Politics. What they would do is they invite politicians and local influencers to give topics, and they eat pancakes. It's kind of fun. I'm not in politics. I have no interest in politics, but then I know the VP level people goes to those events to influence the politicians. So that's one of my go-to events, not because I want to get into politics, is I know I can mingle with the VP and sometimes the CEO when they're there. So, and I'm the only promotional product person go to those meetings. So in your own version, in your own industry, are there meetings that you know that your target audience will be there? All of them are going to be there. And then you are the only ones going to be in that meeting. How would that impact your business? So great question. I encourage everyone to put on your thinking hat. There got to be some event or some function or even maybe a certain club that you can join. All your clients are going to be there. And if you join, then you're the only one in your industry that attend those meetings.
Brilliant. That's some great tips there. And I think people are going to have to go over this podcast a few times to record all that. So, you really dropped some golden nuggets. Fantastic there. And I think people should know more about you and where you hang out yourself. So how do people find out more about you, your business, what you do? Where do they go?
Thank you, Dave. I lived on LinkedIn. So just go on LinkedIn, type in Swire Ho. I'd love to connect and network with everyone. As you mentioned, I'm the host for the Small Business Show. So I talk about all things small business, how to grow and, actually market your business. And if you're thinking about promotional product, I actually have a new ebook about the different categories for promotional product. I will send you the link, Dave. And if anyone who are interested or in the market, love for you to download the guide and give you some useful information.
Brilliant. I'll absolutely put that in the show notes. That will be very useful for listeners, I'm sure. So I'm going to ask you one more question. You've led this, I think you must have read my notes. So you've just said about the history and the fact you're helping small business. You're very aware of how to develop a business. And I'm intrigued. You've been in business now for 2 decades or more. And so you've got a tremendous amount of experience. So I'm keen to explore, what would you say your key learnings to creating a successful, sustainable, and thriving business kind of are. Can you recount any great stories that help us visualize the good, the bad, and the ugly you have discovered on your journey?
That's a tough question, right? So obviously, throughout the 20 year, and you disclose kind of my age, you aged me there, Dave.
Sorry about
that. made a lot of mistakes. And if I would have do it over again, I would suggest anyone to find mentors, people who are in your industry, who have way more experience than you do. A lot of times they want to give back. They actually wanted to mentor at a certain experience. They want to actually train someone to be as good as they are, beyond, what they would do. When you talk to a competitor, they don't talk to you, right? But if you talk to a seasoned professional, he or she who actually wanted to share the experience, find a mentor that works for you. They do not have to be in your particular industry, but let's say you want to find out and learn more about networking. Find someone at the Chamber of Commerce who knows everybody, who can connect with all the industry that are in the chamber. Ask someone if they can give you a tips, maybe schedule a meeting with them. Or if you're thinking about, you don't know enough about social media and digital marketing, find someone who does, so look for help. And I think, doing small business, I make the same mistakes too, is to think of, I have to do everything myself. You don't. There are always going to be other people that do what you're trying to do better than you do. If they are for hire and if they charge a fee, pay for it. I won't do my own taxes, right? I won't build my own websites. It could be done. I could do it. But then obviously there are other qualified professionals out there that I could pay, happy to pay them, and they do it 10 times better than I do. So figure out what's your core competence and stick with that. And other things that I'm not good at, find people who can help you, and you find better people, to do what it is that you are trying to do. And then you somehow find that it could be easier than if you're trying to solve all the problems yourself.
Exactly. And you spread yourself so thin, you'll take forever to get to a level of competence. And you're better off, as you say, getting the experts involved. You can learn things from the experts anyway. And obviously that fast tracks your business to the success we're talking about. There's some brilliant information you've shared with us today. So I really do appreciate everything you've disclosed. All I can say is thank you very much for sharing all this information with us, and to thank you ever so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dave. It was a fun conversation.
Thank you. Goodbye. So there's another Real Life Buyer podcast. I do hope you enjoyed it and it's given you some ideas and inspiration for greater action and achievement. If you are a purchasing or a supply chain professional, business owner or director, come and join my Facebook group, the Purchasing and Supply Chain Community Hub, a safe place to engage with like-minded, friendly people. See you soon. Bye.